Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live magic Q&A tea party, where we spill the tea and we drink the tea. We do it all here. I'm Madame Pamita. I'm your host. We meet here in this Spell Squad Clubhouse every Sunday, except the first Sunday of the month, because I'm going to tell you why, not the first Sunday of the month. Anyway, we meet here every Sunday, except for the first Sunday of the month at 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, and 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find us if you want to join us and be here live. Of course, you can see the replay on YouTube. I've got to get caught up on those. I know I say that every week. I'm going to get caught up on posting those. But we've got those replays on YouTube. But if you want to be with us live and ask questions, you can join us. It doesn't cost anything to be in the Spell Squad. All you have to do is go to spellsquad.com. It's spellsquad.com. spellsquad.com. You can go in, you can go there, sign up to be on my email list. You will get a link to join us, and that link is good forever. So as long as we don't get any craziness here, that link will last. If it's going to change, you'll get an email that it's going to change, but it's been that way for several months now. So you will get that link to join us every Sunday at that special time when we meet, and you can ask questions about magic, about divination, about spiritualism, about all kinds of things. And today we're going to be talking with my dear friend and amazing colleague, Onareo, also known as Chris. He's going to be telling us about tarot, and we're going to be talking about numerology. So you definitely want to be, if you're watching this in replay, you definitely want to sign up so that you can join us live and ask us questions. Got a couple of announcements. First announcement is the reason I'm not going to be here on the first Sunday of the month, I am going to be here, but I'm going to be doing a workshop every first Sunday. We're calling them First Sunday Workshops. First Sunday Workshops? Yeah, that's what I'm calling them. And our first one is coming September 6th. That is going to be a fabulous workshop, 90-minute workshop with me, Madame Pamita, teaching you everything I know about petition papers. We're going to be learning about petition papers, all the different kinds of petition papers you can do to make magic. You can make magic with paper and pen. That's all you need. You don't need fancy schmancy anything. You can do it wherever you are. If you need a spell right away, I'm going to teach you how to do a spell with paper and pen or pencil. But we will get into some very, very cool and intricate petitions. And so I want you to join me for that. If you want to join that special workshop, you have to sign up. It is a limited space thing. I am only offering it one time live. I'm going to do a recording, and that recording will be available for sale later. But if you want to join me in the workshop, you have to sign up for the workshop. The workshop is $40. With it, you get to join us live, but don't worry if you can't join us live. If something happens or it's a bad time for you, you're at work or you're on the other side of the world, don't worry, because everyone who signs up for the workshop will get a copy of the recording so you can watch it over and over again anytime you need a refresher, or if you can't make the live workshop, you can watch the recording and you will get that recording. So the workshop is $40. You will find it by going to my website, Parlor of Wonders, looking under Learn, and under Learn, you will see Magic Workshops. Click there and you'll find all the first Sunday workshops. So the first one's going to be about petition papers. That's in September 6th. The next one is in October. The first Sunday of October is going to be about making friends with the scary tarot cards. That's right up our alley, right? Working with the scary tarot cards. And then in November, we're going to be doing the first of 2 candle magic. So beginning candle magic in November, and then here's the sneak preview. In December, we're going to be doing advanced candle magic. So we've got loads of amazing workshops. These are one-time only workshops. I'm not going to be doing these over again, repetitious. There's too much information to teach. I've got too many potential workshops to be doing them over and over again. So if you want to be in on it and you want to be there live and you want to ask questions, these are hands-on workshops where you're going to make these things with me. You're going to make these amazing petition papers with me, and you are going to walk away with an amazing skill that you can use over and over again for many, many things. So I hope you'll join me for that on September 6th. Another brief announcement is that on August 28th, my dear friend, who's going to be our special guest next week, James Devine, also known as Jim Barker, but now he's going by James Devine. He is of Divine Hand Palmistry. He is going to be joining me as my guest next week, and we are teaching a class on August 28th that's not through me, that is through the Robin's Nest in Bellingham, Massachusetts. I always want to say Bellingham, Washington, Bellingham, Massachusetts. So there's a different link to join that. But if you want to go to sign up for that, you can go onto my site, go to Parlor of Wonders, go to learn, go to workshops, and it will be at the top of the list of the workshops because that one's coming first. That one's $35, and it is the palmistry tarot mashup that Jim and I have done all over the country to great acclaim. People love our workshops. You will learn about the hands in the tarot and how those different hand positions mean different things. So you'll learn a little bit of palmistry, you'll learn a little bit of tarot, and you'll see where the two meet. So if you're interested in palmistry or you know about tarot or you want to learn about tarot, this is a great, great class for you. And James Devine and I will be offering that, and you can join us there. So go ahead and sign up for that one too. Last announcement I have before we get started. New oil and new candle available at the Parlor of Wonders. I posted the mystery candle. What is the mystery candle? What is our new candle that we're going to be offering? Did anyone guess? Nobody guessed it right. It is a Come to Me candle and Come to Me oil. They're not super duper new because, well, the oil isn't new because we've been making this oil for a while, but we didn't have a label for the bottle. So we were only including it with spell kits, but now it is available as an oil by itself. So Come to Me oil, Come to Me vigil candle, and Come to Me vigil candle service that is done by my dear friend and colleague, Lady Luria. She's working at the Parlor of Wonders now. We're so happy to have her. She's doing all the vigil candle services. So vigil candle services are back and she's amazing. So if you want to come to me spell, you want us to do a Come to Me vigil candle spell for you, we can do it now. And we have that beautiful Come to Me vigil candle. It's amazing. Look at that. Look at that beautiful candle. So Come to Me beeswax vigil candle spell and vigil candles and oils are now all available. All right, I think that is it. Look, he left. Oh my God, I was about to introduce you. Where'd you go?
I'm grabbing my computer cable because all of a sudden it went like the power went.
Oh crap!
Sorry.
All right. So hopefully they're not doing rolling. They're doing rolling blackouts for us here, and I haven't had one yet, but I hope they don't do one for us. And we have our connection for this whole hour. We just need it for 1 hour. That's all. Anyway, now I got my big announcement. We have him back and better than ever.
I need a couple of those candles, Pam. I need a
Come to me. I need that candle to get you to come and be on the show because you keep wandering away. Come to me, Chris. Be here. So this is my dear friend Onareo, also known as Chris. He is an amazing, talented magician, very talented reader and a numerologist. So he's a tarot reader and a numerologist. So last time he was on the show, he was, if he looks familiar, you'll know why, because he was on the show before. But last time we were on the show, we were talking about spiritualism. We were talking about Santeria. We were talking about all kinds of other things that you have experience with. But this time we decided to talk about something we didn't really get a chance to talk about, which is tarot and numerology, which are services that you offer clients, and you're an amazing reader. So we wanted to talk about that. Now, we also have a special treat for you because at the end of our show today, Onareo is going to be doing a little mini reading for somebody. We will pick one person from the Spell Squad to get that reading. So if you would like to have a reading, what emoji or word should they put down, Chris?
I don't know. A key?
A key. Key. The key. So when you said a key, I thought A-Q-U-I. A key. Spanish. I want to speak Spanish to you.
It's my Spanish. It's my Spanish accent.
You could actually put AQUI. We will accept it. You could put a key or a key, exactly. Or the key or the emoji of the key. All of those will work. So put the word key down, a key or a key, and we will put you in the running. And at the end, we'll have a drawing to see who gets that little mini reading. Be prepared to ask a quick question. So you're going to ask a question if you're going to have a reading. It could be a one word, I want a reading about love or money or job or something like that. Or it can be a little quick question, like a brief question. Does that sound good? All right. So let's talk to you. You're nodding and you look a little like you don't know what I'm talking about, but that's all right.
Who, me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's because I got distracted with the whole Aki and the keys in the chat. Sorry.
Don't look at the chat. All right.
Yeah, let me
So
close that.
we're going to talk. So we're going to be talking about tarot and numerology. So if you have questions about tarot, if you have questions about numerology, those will get the priority
Yeah.
today. All right. So let's talk a little bit about tarot. Like when did you get started doing tarot? When did you get started with numerology? When did this all begin for you?
So with tarot, I pretty much my first deck I got from my dad when I was 13. I know it sounds kind of like, very movie-like, but it was actually like that. We went to one of those metaphysical shops, and I don't even remember if it was in Orlando or somewhere. And I saw the cards, and I just got them, and it was the Rider-Waite-Smith, and which I showed last time I was here. I still have my very first deck, and it's over 20 years old. And after that, I started buying different decks and just really got into it. That's it. And numerology, it's funny because I never, in school, I was never, I was never in love with math. But as soon as I started learning about numerology and how magical numbers were, I really got into it. I still use a calculator because it's faster. But there's something about the process when you're working with numbers and synchronicities and how they really show up in our lives. So, yeah.
I think, what's really funny is I'm not a math person either, but I love numerology. And I tend to use numerology, not so much with readings, but I use it in candle magic. How it's kind of like, it's another dimension really of like, you can use a color in a spell and that gives support, but you can use a number in a spell, like a number of candles or a number of herbs. And that also can give support to your spell work. So I'm not a math person by any means. I don't like working with numbers, but I do in that very basic way like to bring in numerology into spell work because I think it can be quite another powerful dimension of spell work. So when you do a reading for someone, do you blend tarot and numerology, or do you do just one with someone or just the other with someone?
Well, it depends on what the person wants, really. But most of the time, what I offer is I do the numerology for the year, right? So I find out what their number, their birth number is, right? And what the energies are for their birthday. And then I do what current year they're at, And then as far as the reading with the cards, what I do, I give them a little bit of information on where they're at, where they've been in the numerological sense. And then with the cards, what I do is the way I use numerology with the cards is really pay attention to what numbers are popping up more. If I have different twos in the same reading, I have threes and stuff like that. That's where I see more the numerology with the cards. And I also use this concept that I think it was introduced by Mary Greer, which is the birth cards. And that's how I use the numbers when I do my readings to find out like the main energies of this person or the people involved.
It's so interesting because that does add, if you're a tarot reader, that understanding of numerology. I don't really think about it too much directly, but it does show up in the symbolism of the cards. And in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you do see, if you understand numerology, you do see those numbers reflected in the numbers of the cards. And it's another layer of understanding the symbols on those cards. That number is a significant thing.
Yeah, if I see a lot of ones, I know that this reading probably has to do with a lot of new projects or new things starting, or has to do more on an individual level instead of adding, other people to the math. So
yeah, it's another very, very cool way of adding another dimension to a reading. What are your favorite, is your favorite deck Rider-Waite-Smith? Is that the one that you use the most?
That's the one I use the most. Interestingly enough, I didn't like it when that was my first deck, and I kind of had not a version to it, but I kind of didn't find it inspiring for the longest. So my main deck was, I don't know if I have it over here, but it was the Lauren O'Leary's World Spirit Tarot because it was, it's beautiful, vibrant colors. She did a great job, and I think she had the most diverse or inclusive deck at the time, with people of all colors. It had elements of all cultures. So I used that deck for the longest. But then after, you know, I went back to my first love with the Rider-Waite. So, but I can't seem to stop buying tarot decks. So
I know. I mean, if you saw my shelves, my bookshelves are full of books, but I have two
it's
full
too much.
bookshelves with like layers of cards in them that are shoved in there. And you can't, and it's like, you don't make me pick my children, even though I'm always using a Rider-Waite-Smith. I want to have these other ones here. I don't know what I'm doing. Like backup.
I think also for me, sometimes I feel like drawn to get a specific, specific deck, and I know the imagery, or I know that I need like a different perspective. And sometimes when you I feel like when people say they get a little bit stuck with certain images or certain elements of like the tarot, I say, well, try another deck, get another deck, try and see what imagery is speaking to you.
Now, when clients come to you for a reading, this is a kind of a question I don't think I've ever asked anyone that's a reader. When your clients come to you, what is the result of having a reading? What do you feel like people get from having a reading with you?
I think for me is the sense of everything will be fine, right? But not that I try to sugarcoat anything, but I always think of tarot as a tool to help you make decisions, right? But it's not making the decision for you. I don't make the decision for the client. It is really about like the perception of different options or ideas that may be around that they can say, okay, so I like this, I don't like that, kind of like that. This tapestry,
Yeah.
So that's really what I want them to get out of it. Really, it's what is it? How can it be more empowering? So it's all about empowerment. Really, it's not about like, oh, you're cursed, give me $300 and and I'll remove the curse for you off of you. So exactly. So it's really all about self-empowerment.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I'm of the same philosophy. I think that different readers have different styles. There's definitely different styles. I mean, as a reader, we go to other readers. Like, I mean, that's what we do. I go to other readers. Sometimes I go out of curiosity and to like have a different experience. And sometimes I go because I have a question that I want some clarity on that I can't be objective about. And so I go, we not only are providing services, but we go and get those services. It's just like a therapist goes to therapy, right? A therapist that doesn't go to therapy, I kind of go like, why aren't you going to therapy? You got it all figured out. That tells me something's off. But therapists have their own therapists, right? They don't perform therapy on themselves. Yeah. So the same thing, we go to other readers. And so sometimes, a lot of the ones that I know personally will have kind of the same philosophy, which is we're looking for, I like to say that I'm solutions oriented in my reading. And that's what you're doing, is like the empowerment. We're going to find the solutions. Here's what's going on. Here's how you can get to what you want. Right. But there are other readers that are like, what I call what James Devine will call fatalistic readers. This is what's going to happen to you. You have no choice in it. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense spiritually, because you have free will. So how is it that, you're destined to have 2 children, or you're destined to have, something, win the lottery, or you have to, what if you're destined to win the lottery, but you don't buy a lottery ticket? You're not going to win the lottery, right? You have free will. So in that situation, I think it's kind of like this roadmap that shows you what are the possibilities of where you can go. Now, sometimes those roads are really direct and it's like a freeway or a highway and you just get there. And other times they're a little more windy, but that's what a reader can provide, is that sort of service to help you navigate the stuff that's in your life when you feel confused or you're not sure, you're standing at a crossroads and you're not sure which direction you should go in. That's what a reading will provide for you. And
I think using that same imagery that you are using of the road, it's really helping them see the actual roads available, so it's not just I think you should take this road. You know, it's really like, well, there are these roads and this is what might happen if you go, you know, like a road sign, you know, like curvy, curve
Yeah.
ahead, or, you know, dead end. So kind of like helping them look at that and realize that, you know, so they can definitely make their own decisions about it. I don't want any person to become dependent on my advice, right? However, they can come back to get advice on other things, but not to have me making decisions for them, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a perfect thing. I think that perfect analogy you said, like sometimes we as readers can see there is a dead end, and yet the person's, you know, I always say you have free will. Okay, here's what I see. There's nothing more that, you know, there's no more juice. I always say there's no more juice in that orange.
Yeah.
You can't squeeze any more juice out of the orange. But if they want to go back and make sure that there really is no juice in that orange, they can go back and make sure, you know, whether it's a job or a relationship or whatever. Or here's an opportunity that you can take. I don't feel like any of those opportunities are, oh, you have to do it today. You can make your choice of when you want to go down that path and you know, take the leap of faith to do the job that's going to, you know, bring you happiness and success, or, you know, get the new lover who's going to be an amazing lover, and so on. So
Exactly. Yeah.
all right, are you ready to get some questions?
Of course. Yeah.
All righty. Okay, so first of all, Jim Barker, aka James Divine, is here, and he says he has a rosé. I have a rosé. I don't know. He's drinking and divining right now.
Oh, yeah. Jim, can you send some over here?
Exactly. That's what I'm going to have after my water, have my happy hour. Mary has a question. Mary says, I keep seeing my birthday numbers like every day. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Birthday, though?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, Mary. So usually, for example, my birthday is 9/11, right? Oh, scary number. But I see it often too. But I think whenever we see certain patterns of numbers, it has to do with some internal change, something that's going on in your life, something that you should be paying attention, right? So let's say if it's your birthday, right? So what is getting, and not to sound cheesy, right? But what's getting created in your life right now, right? Like what's getting born, right, in your life at this specific moment? How can we pay attention to what you're seeing? And when you see those numbers, what is it that you're seeing it on, right? So you see, let's say you wake up and you see 9/11 as you're cooking, you know, so what are you working on, right? As the action that you're doing while you're seeing that number, right? So that can give you clues, because numbers, when it comes to numbers, it's very personal, right? So when you're seeing patterns of numbers, like your birthday or sequences like 111, 222, and this, and I spoke about this on last time I was here, it's all about what you're doing and how you can recognize that energy of that number, right? So if your birthday means that the time you were, you know, the day you were born, or actually the time you were born, if you even know that, right? Then you figure out what is it that what's going on in your life at that moment, what are you working on, and how is that impacting the rest of your life? I don't know, does that,
yeah, I mean, when we see those numbers show up, you brought up a very, very good point, which is one of the ways that I would say our spirit guides are reaching out to us, because I'm a spiritualist and I know you are too. Our guides reach out to us to send us messages. Now you can get the messages directly if you are open and you're working on having that open reception, let's say, but their guides are always sending messages. And one of the ways that they send it is through those numbers. And I think that's amazing. I didn't ever think of that, but when you said it, I'm like, yeah, that's 100% correct. If it's your birthday, what are you giving birth to? I would even say, like, if you are starting to see a lot of your birthday number, like you didn't ever see it before, and you see a lot of them, Chris is absolutely right. Pay attention to what you're doing at that moment that you see it, or what you're thinking, or what you're talking about at that moment. But I would also say that if it's like a new thing, like maybe this isn't something that you've been going on all your life, but like in the last month, you've seen your birthday numbers everywhere. This may be the time that you're evolving. You're expanding, you're giving birth to something, or you're being reborn. I think of like the Judgment card, you know, the rebirth of the Judgment card, on how this is an expansion and evolution, and there's a new you, new year, new you, right? That's what we say. New year, new me, new year, new you. And that's what a birthday would mean. It's your new year begins on your birthday, right? Your new year begins on your birthday. So if you're seeing that, it's about that newness, that freshness, that birth, that expansion, that revamping, you know, or breaking out of some old mold that no longer serves you. 100%. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. Yeah, James Devine, he says, I'm drinking at 5 p.m. Good for you. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? It's 5 o'clock here on the West Coast.
that's something my best friend told me, taught me to do. It was like day drinking. I'm
like, all right. Here's a great question, a great numerology question. Raven wants to know, if you change your name, does your numerology change too? Because one of the ways of doing numerology is the birthday, and the other way is to do the letters of your name. Okay, so we need to clarify that.
So here's the deal. There's different schools of thought with this, right? So at the end of the day, it's going to be whatever you choose to, you know, to take in as a practice, right? My belief is that it's about identity, right? So when you're changing your name, the reason that you will change your name is because you're either not comfortable with your first name. If it's the first name, if you're talking about last name, well, that's a different a different topic, right? But names are ways that we use in society to identify ourselves, right? However, it might be triggers because, you know, we don't get along with our parents, or we don't like the names, or we get teased by the names that we get, right? So we can change our names, and it definitely changes the energy, but it's not just because the name itself has power. It's because you are changing, you know, it's like embracing or embodying the characteristics of that name. It's like me, my name is Chris, but I use Onareo. You know, I change it. I'm embracing the characteristics of that, which, by the way, they have the same numerology, though. So I didn't do it because of numerology. It just actually happened to be that way. But you embody those characteristics, those qualities of those numbers. So you can definitely use it. It would be kind of like choosing a card in tarot to be a significator, right? Or to focus on a card to be your meditation of qualities that you want to embody, right? So your birth card might be the Tower, and a lot of people are like, oh, the Tower, I don't want to be the Tower, you know? So you start changing and embodying another different aspects. So you might want to be the Magician, so you work with the Magician card to have more control, more empowerment. So it is all about how your perception of the number, right? Because we are born nameless, right? So a name is really the power, like kind of like a tag from society, right? From our parents, from religious teachers, a lot of religious traditions, including, you know, Santeria, you get a different name, or other traditions, right? So those are things that you have to think about. It's not just that by changing your name, you're changing your power. It's really what you want to embody, or the qualities that you want to bring about.
I think also too, that's a great point. And I think you're stimulating a lot of ideas in my head, because I'm thinking like, oh, when people get married and they join their names, or they change their names, or they get adopted and they change their name, there is a change, a transformation that can happen. And then when people take on a name like Madame Pamita or Onareo or something else, you're also bringing in that numerology, and I think you can just do it, right? But you can also do it consciously, knowing the numerology, and make some choices based on numerology that will bring in what it is that you want. So if you know a little bit about numerology, this is information that you can find on the web, and you can start to break down your name and learn what your numerology is in your name, and then maybe change your name or you know, present it a different way.
You can use a nickname. It's all about kind of like our artists do with their personas, right? So when actors or actresses, they change their name, like, you know, Whoopi Goldberg, like that's totally different from her actual name, but she uses this name to embody a specific persona, right? So we can do that with numerology. And I think when we do it consciously, if you do it unconsciously, then yeah, you can find out what the numbers say, etc. But really, when you would change your name using numerology, you have to do it consciously to see what you want to embody.
Yeah, I think it's another opportunity. It's just like everything I think of in magic, you can add layers, right? If you never knew about numerology, it's not going to affect you negatively or positively, but it gives you, if you do know about it, it can give you some insight into yourself, and you can also shift and change it, which is such a cool concept.
Yeah.
So Ava says, I see number 17 everywhere. What is the meaning of that?
It depends, right? So it depends if it has a particular meaning to her. However, in numerology or regular numerology, right, it would be 7 plus 1. It's 8, right? So 8 is a number about empowerment and creativity and longevity and you know, when you turn the 8 on the side is the lemniscate, right? Like the infinity symbol. So it has, again, it has to be, when you're seeing this number, what is it, kind of like, well, as they say in shamanism, right? Like the omens that you see outside, right? Or in your daily life, what is the message that is bringing, right? If you happen to wake up every night at the same time, right? And you see the same number, then it has, that number in particular has a power, it's powerful while you're sleeping, right? While you're resting, while you're in the dreamland, right? So what is it that you're dreaming that you're waking up to that number, right? And then you tie both, right? So if it's the 2 and 222, it's about relationships, about connection, balance in your life. So when you do that, the same thing with, when, again, it could be something, it could be, you could be driving and you see 17. So where are you going to, you know? What is it that what are you paying attention? So I think numbers is really, when you see patterns like that, it's really a call to attention. What are you doing at the moment? Where are you going? What are you cooking? What exactly
What are you thinking? What are you saying? Yeah.
And it's a manifestation. Sometimes there are power numbers too, like lucky numbers, let's say, right? If something happened to you and if you're playing a little scratch off and you see that number, and then you see the same number in a license plate, and you see the same number in the TV, so that number is speaking to you, you know? So you have to analyze that relationship with that number. Yeah.
One of the things that I love to do is when I see a repeating number on my phone in particular, that's the only digital clock that I have. The rest of my clocks in my house are analog clocks. But when I see that digital number on my computer or my phone, I stop at that moment, and knowing the numerology, I make a wish associated with the numerology. So for example, if I saw like 222, you can only do it through 1 through 6. That's the only thing, because I have a clock that's not a European clock. It's a American 12-hour clock, right? So, but it's like, if I see 222, I'll make a wish of love. If I see 444, I'll make a wish of, oh, you can't do it through 6. Actually, you only can do it through 5, because 555 is the last one. So I make a wish, if I saw 444, I would make a wish for prosperity or security or something like that. So knowing numerology, you can actually also use it for witchcraft, it's wishing, right? To put an intention out there that's supported by that number. So it's not only feedback for you, it can also be output for you. It can be an opportunity for you when you see that number 17 to make a wish for yourself for empowerment, right?
Yeah,
so that you know, that can be another way of working it, not just receiving a message, but sending a message. Oh, that's going to remind me to say my affirmation of empowerment, or to think my thought, or to make my wish of empowerment, you know? So, because it's an 8.
Like most people do it with 1111, you know, normally, but you can do it with any number really. And as you say, you get the qualities of that number. And if you're trying to build foundation or stability, you would see 444, then yes, you know, especially if you're trying to buy a house or get some property or start a business, then yeah, 444. Okay, so this is my intention. I'm putting it in. And you can also do magic during that time, you know, during that specific time. Have a specific ritual that you do up to that culminates, or up to that specific time, you know. There's a lot of, you know, with magical timing too, so.
Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of ways we can go with it. If we went to clocks and timing, I mean, that's like a series. In fact, I should probably teach a class about that.
Yeah, you know? Actually, there you go, another idea.
You'll have to teach that with me. All right, So Lori has a question, a tarot question. So we're going to jump over to tarot.
Yeah.
Why do some tarot decks address questions with different energy? For example, if I find my Santa Muerte deck a lot different than my Rider-Waite-Smith deck, how I receive the messages? So the imagery, really.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a question of imagery or the energy that the person's dealing with, right? So I don't have the Santa Muerte deck, so I'm not sure how that speaks, but I do have different decks that they're all like different imageries. I stick to I wouldn't say the normal, but traditional style of deck, whether the images are animals or people or whatever. I stick to the traditional sequence, right? Because even though, like, for example, I have the Osho Zen tarot deck, which is beautiful. I love that deck, and it's great to get like a very introspective reading. However, I don't use it regularly because it's very, very different from a traditional tarot deck, right? So I like to have my 1 through 10, my 4 court cards, and my major arcana. So the messages can be different because of maybe if you are a devotee of Santa Muerte and you have a particular relationship with that entity, then yes, or maybe your spirit guides work with that entity in a different way or in a different vibration. So you might get different messages from there, right? That a lot of people, so here's the thing with tarot cards. You might use tarot cards with in a traditional way, like you learn the meanings, you work with them, you practice, you work with the numerology, we do with the symbols, etc. Or you work with them in an intuitive way. So if you're working with them in an intuitive way, every other deck will speak to you in a different way, in my opinion, right? Because what you're seeing in that card will call your attention, but it's going to be your interpretation. Like if I see a raven, right, in a deck that has ravens in it, right, and I have a bad relationship with ravens, or I have a bad experience with a raven, then my interpretation of the raven is going to be very different than if someone loves ravens and they always feed the ravens. And, so you have to pay attention to really what's speaking to you. And to me, I always say the same thing, just pay attention. When you're paying attention to what it is that's speaking to you or what it is that's going on around, that's really when you can tell, right? I don't think the question said anything about being uncomfortable with the message. It's just different, right?
Different.
Yeah, I think it would be different because specifically with Santa Muerte, it's a very particular energy and a very particular, even though the deck, I think it's not, if it's the deck I'm thinking of, it's not particularly only imagery of La Santa Muerte, but it's a particular practice, and you have if you have a devotion, then yeah, you're gonna get different messages.
That brings up such a great point, which is that when you have a connection to your decks. So for me, who is not a devotee, I would pick up a Santa Muerte deck, and I probably wouldn't get clear messages. I wouldn't understand the subtlety of the symbolism in it because I'm not experienced in that. I'm not someone who is, a devotee who has an intimate relationship with Santa Muerte. So, but I think about other decks that I have, like I have, and using other decks, like I have a deck that's the Halloween deck. It's been around for 25 years now. But I had that deck because I did readings at kids' parties, and I didn't want to use the Rider-Waite because some of the images are scary in the Rider-Waite, but on the Halloween deck, they're not, the devil's like this cute girl in a little devil costume, and the death is like this happy little skeleton that looks like,
and the colors they have the little imps and everything. It's a very cute deck. Yeah,
it's a very playful deck. But what's interesting is that deck has a different kind of quality that is a playful quality to it. Another deck that I've used in past times has been the Daughters of the Moon deck, which is a round deck. And that deck, just by the virtue of the cards being round, has like a gradation thing that is almost like it's not upright or reversed. It's not that. It can have, it can go any degree of direction. Yeah. So it has a whole other dimension to it. And it also has a very, what I would call like a very inclusive, a very feminine energy and a very matriarchal energy, but a very inclusive energy very diverse, you know, representations on there. So it also has a different energy because the artist who made it had an intention with that deck. So I love exploring different decks and seeing and trying them out and seeing what energy they have. But I do think that like there are some decks that you're not going to connect with that are just not going to be your thing, you know. And believe me, I have those. They're beautiful decks. I've tried working with them. I'm like, I'm not really connecting with it, even though it's beautiful. So I think that you'll find that as you start to play with them and so on.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, Stephanie has a question, numerology question. She says, okay, the guy I like told me he saw 1111. Is that a sign for me and him?
But I mean,
was he thinking about you when he saw 1111?
That would be basically because I mean, why, unless you have expressed that that number has meaning to you, you know, and then that person replies, you know, hey, I saw this number, or I thought of you while seeing this number, then yes, because it has a connection with the thought pattern, right? And that kind of that connection that you have with this person. However, in particular, if someone just randomly says, you know, I saw 1111, then, you know, it might be a message for you that comes through this person, right? Because you said something, maybe you wished for him during last 1111, and then he mentions, hey, you know, it's 1111. That kind of thing, that synchronicity, yeah, it might mean something to me. If it's a random like 1111, not necessarily. Yeah. What do you think, Pam?
I think that's a great question to ask, is like, what were you thinking of? Were you thinking of me? That's a great way to kind of open that door. and also, why would he say that he saw 1111? You might ask him, well, why did you tell me that you saw 1111? You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I've had some magical instances where I've done something and the person I'm either have been working the magic on or for, something like that happens. It's like, oh my God. And then something like this person mentioned this, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like, okay, so that is a sign. That is a sign that the energy is moving and the energy is working. Yeah.
That is, yeah, that's what I call messages when you're doing a spell, and maybe you did a spell to get this guy interested in you. And if you did that spell and you're seeing 1111, he's saying 1111, those are your signs for sure.
Yeah, agreed.
Bruce has a question.
Hey,
given
Bruce.
that humans have a tendency to see patterns and connections where they might not otherwise exist. Well, I would say the patterns do exist because you're just observing them. How can one be sure that numerology is forcing such patterns and connections? Is numerology, in other words, if you're seeing 17 everywhere, is it that you are forcing it, or is it a real message?
So that's kind of like the whole point of belief systems, or, you know, practices, right? I mean, the time we set up a time, right? And we all live in different times. And as you said earlier, I don't have the European clock. I have this clock. So there are certain numbers that we will never see in our clock, right? So our reality with numerology, as far as looking at a specific number and the watch, it's going to be different than an European one, right? Or military one, right? So I think it will have meaning to you personally at any specific time because you're aware of it. You get what I'm saying? It's not that whether it exists or whether it has value. Like when you say I don't know, did he say foreseeing or?
No, didn't mention.
No? I think
seeing connections where they, to see patterns where they might not exist. Yeah.
Oh, so the pattern is there because you're, again, as you said, Pam, like you're acknowledging the pattern. If you find yourself seeing 1111 consistently, then that is a pattern for you. It might not be a pattern for everyone, but that is where you find the meaning in it, right? That is why we assign that particular meaning to those numbers. So yeah.
Well, here's what I would add to that is a great test of that. There's a great test of that. The fact is that whoever was Ava, who's seen 17 all the time now, 17 has existed since the day Ava was born. She wasn't seeing 17 every day since she's been a little child and knew what the number 17 was. It has come into her awareness now.
Yes.
Have those 17s existed? All over the place. They're all over the place. These numbers are all over the place. Another example I will say is like 1111. I have a great attunement to seeing 1111, but there are times in my life where I don't see any 1111s. I don't see them anywhere. I don't see them. Like right now, I'm not seeing them. And then I'll have a series, I'll have a week, or I'll have a day, or I'll have something where I'm seeing it almost every day. So because that awareness has always existed, the pattern is showing up for me. And that is what tells me that it has significance and meaning, because there's a series. I'm seeing it frequently, and then I don't see it at all. So if it were something that were creating, the awareness of 1111 has been with me since I first heard about it decades ago. And yet it doesn't always consistently show up for me.
Yeah.
So that's why it becomes a message. That's when you start to see that it's a message, because it's not, if it were completely random or had no meaning, I would either see it consistently all the time, or I wouldn't see it at all the time. So
yeah, I have an example of how, you know, the importance of numbers, right? It's kind of like similar. You could compare it to dreams, you know, like when you see a particular symbol. Symbols have been around, like images are, like things are around, right? All over the place. And then suddenly you randomly dream of a particular symbol, and then you look up the meaning of that symbol, and then it turns out it's relatable to whatever's going on in your life. And you might have seen, not aware that, you know, that something was happened. Like, for example, I have a friend that maybe a month or two ago, she texted me and she said, I had a dream and I don't know what it means. Can you help me? And I was like, sure. And then she says, I was at the dentist's office, and there were three dentists, right? Or two dentists, sorry. And they were like pulling at my teeth or something like that. And then I said, well, you know, teeth are usually have to do with our own sense of security and our own self-image, and having having that strength of image and like security, really, like being safe, right? And then she has two kids, so the two dentists, you know, it's the two kids, right? And then they were pulling because she didn't know where things were going with this pandemic, you know. So that's kind of like a perfect example of, like, she's not thinking of dentists or that image in particular. It just happened to pop up in her mind. So
yeah. I mean, I think it doesn't have to be just numbers, by the way. It can be symbols. It can be spirit animals. It can be all of these other things that are significant. And we see them as messages. I mean, you can choose not to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody's saying that this is the law, that you must, every time you see 1111, it's significant. If you don't want to believe it, nobody's saying you have to believe it. But if you are attuned to it or aware of it, just pay attention to what you're thinking about when that number shows up, or when that symbol shows up, or that animal shows up, and see what you're thinking. And then it may give you some clue as to what the message is. Understanding what it means and what you're thinking at the time can give you a reading, like you get a reading from it.
Yeah, exactly.
You are going to have a special. I forgot to mention to everyone that you're going to be having a little bit of a special going on. What is that special?
Yes, so it's 10% off when they use the code Madame Pamita. They can just DM me to my Visions by Onareo on Instagram, and then I'll apply the discount.
Okay, I'm going to type that in. Instagram.com. Visions by Onareo is where they can find you.
Yes.
By Onareo. That's a lot of, oops, I got to spell it right. Visions by Onareo. So they're in the chat, everyone. I put Onareo's link so that you can find him on Instagram, and you can send him a direct message and set up an appointment if you want to get numerology tarot reading. We're going to do a little mini tarot reading. So I want you to, I'm going to count the keys. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me ask one more question. While you're answering that question, I'll count the keys. How's that? Let's see. Let me get to a question. I did a mistake and I started scrolling, and I I'm lost. Um, oh, okay. Here's a great question. Caroline wants to know, what are your thoughts of oracle cards versus tarot cards? And that will give me a chance to count the keys.
So, I mean, I love them both, you know. Oracle cards have a different vibe to them, definitely, than tarot cards, just because of their structure varies from deck to deck. My personal or favorite that I use consistently is the our friend Marcella's Sacred Symbols deck, which it's amazing. It's very tune into your intuition, and you kind of have it has that energy when you touch those cards. And I actually have the first edition, and then I got the second edition, which it has a very special vibe to them. So Marcella is another great psychic and an artist too. And they have different vibes. They really do have different vibes. It's not, I don't prefer one or the other. I think people might be less intimidated to pick up an oracle deck than a tarot deck, just because of the wealth of information that there is about tarot and outside, you know, in the internet or whatever. A particular deck, you'll see the booklet written by its artist, if it has one, and then you can just interpret it as you go. It's really going with the symbols and feeling, having a feeling for it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, tarot is just a complicated oracle deck. That's all it is. They're all, it's got more layers. You know, you've got, like, you know, major arcana, minor arcana, you've got court cards, you've got numbers, you've got, you know, so it's a little more complicated. Oracle decks oftentimes will have that description at the bottom that will tell you what it means. So it makes it a little bit easier. It's a little less intimidating, like you say.
Yeah.
All right. So you need to pick a magical new, hey, Mr. Numerology, pick a number between 1 and 41.
I'll do 8.
Okay.
I'm a Virgo. I can't think too long. We'll be
Becky Pilgrim. So Becky, I'm going to turn on your, let's see if I can get you. Hold on, participants, attendees. All right, Becky, I'm going to turn you on.
Guys,
hi, Becky. Can you hear us? Hi, Becky.
Hello.
Hi. Do you have like a topic or question that you'd like to ask for that mini reading?
Well,
I can barely hear her. Can you turn on your audio, please?
I'll translate it. I can hear.
Oh, sorry.
okay. I was thinking about maybe getting something like an apprenticeship job, and I'm not really sure if that's the direction I should go to. Is there any information I could get on that?
Great.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
She's still on, right?
Yeah.
So is it something that you already have looked into, or is something that is it an apprenticeship, like going back to school into something, or like?
Yes, I'm starting a computer class, and I will need to support myself with some kind of a job. There's going to be like a job fair or something like that coming up, and I didn't know if that would be a good way to support myself going that way, or if I should just go find a full-time job at Walmart. And I didn't know what way would probably be best to support myself while I'm at school.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to mute you, Becky. You're going to go back into mute land, but you can listen. Okay.
Okay, so so it looks like if you do this, it's going to be a little bit of a uphill, and I think it has to do with what can you afford to do right now, not just money-wise, but energy-wise. So what I'm feeling and seeing is that you might have to give a lot more than you are going to gain out of it, you know, if you go into this right now. So I think that you should maybe wait a little bit, see how things, especially with whatever, you know, with everything that's going on right now, what other ways you might be able to get some financial support instead of just jumping into it, because it seems to be a little bit more uphill in that sense, right? So that's what I see right now. If
You
you
know,
want
it's,
to do that that particular path.
and
So
you know,
oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to tag team with you. I get to like them with what you're saying. There might be ways that you can learn without like online learning. There's a thing called Coursera that has free classes, and you could do some free classes in computer to just try it out to see if you like it or how much energy, and kind of pace yourself. Perhaps, what would you say to that, Chris? Would that be something that would be positive?
Yeah, I agree, because I feel like there are some other things that need to happen before, and I think also it would seem more like, would seem more like, oh, I'm putting too much effort versus what I'm going to be gaining off of this. So energy wise, I feel it has to do with if you have all that energy to do all that, to take on all that.
Yeah, maybe taking it a little slower pace, or looking and not getting, I mean, especially I think now it's like, if you're wanting to make more money, spending taking on a student loan, something like that. Like, I don't know if that's the plan for Becky, but taking on a student loan is going to add to debt. But there's ways of learning to try it out that would give you a kind of like sampling at the buffet to see if it's something that you really want to invest in, where you don't get into that hole of like the devil card where somebody is,
Yeah, I think it has to do more with like you're saying, what it has to do has to be more with the fact that things are the way they are right now, so you might want to hold off. I'm not saying don't do it ever. I'm saying like hold on a little bit on making those type of decisions.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. Well, let's see. So remember, the reminder is, if you go and find Onareo at Visions by Onareo on Instagram, you can DM him and set up an appointment. If you do and mention my name, that you were here you saw this, or you were here, you get a discount, 10% discount. And that's basically the place that you are, is Instagram. That's your primary.
Now, yes, I am working on my website. So hopefully by the end of September, it's going to be ready, or mid-September, which is my birthday.
Yeah.
So yeah. But in the meantime, I think it's easier at the moment, so that people find you through Instagram. But yeah, I will have the website coming up in mid-September.
Yeah, and if you don't get that that link, don't worry, because if you go onto my Instagram and you look at the picture of Chris and I together, he's linked in that, and you can just click on that and you can get to his place and add him as a friend. Follow.
Did you love that photo op?
Oh shoot, we didn't do? We didn't talk about the Golden Girls.
Oh my God.
I knew there was something we forgot. We both love the Golden Girls.
Yeah. Golden Girls is my favorite show, yeah.
All right. Are you a Blanche? Okay, well, we didn't get to, we can tell you what you guys are. So how would you describe the 4 characters? So we have Blanche. Blanche is the sexy one.
Yeah. Blanche
Rose, the ditzy one.
Ditzy one, yeah.
Sophia is the outspoken, crazy one. What would you describe Sophia?
And the no fucks given one.
And Dorothy is the bossy one, right?
Yeah.
I'd say the bossy one. So that's how you can tell which Golden Girl you are. So before we go, Chris, which Golden Girl are you?
There's a saying that says, Dorothy in the streets and Blanche in the sheets. But yeah, I've always seen myself as Dorothy more of out of all of them, just because she likes to read a lot and she's more serious. But I'm not that serious, but I like to pretend I am.
Yeah, you also have a sassy mouth on you, like Dorothy, I think too. We didn't talk about Golden Girls. I had a whole plan that we were going to talk about Golden Girls.
This is Dorothy, right? This is Dorothy, right? And that card. I was putting the cards down and this popped up. So
oh my gosh. Well, I love B. Arthur, so I kind of wish I were Dorothy, but I don't think I'm a Dorothy. I think I'm more of a Rose. I think I'm a Rose. I don't want to be, I'm a Rose in denial.
You're a Rose with a little bit of Blanche, yeah.
A little bit of Blanche? Really?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah, baby.
No, I just got, because of this tarot addiction that I have, or hoarding a collection. Collection. I just got the Golden Girls tarot. So.
Oh my gosh, I have a Golden Girls playing card deck.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I have a Golden Girls card deck, but I don't have the tarot deck. There's a Golden Girls tarot. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
They divided the suits by Golden Girls. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, that's so great. Well, thank you so much for joining us and bringing your light and your love and your immense knowledge to our little get together here, to our clubhouse here. Just a reminder that next week our guest is going to be James Devine, the rosé drinking Jim Barker, in other words. Jim, you are not allowed to drink rosé. It's tea party, not a rosé party. Palm reader. Yeah, we're going to talk about palm reading. We're going to talk about palm reading, and we're going to talk about our class that we're giving through Robin's Nest. So if you want to join Jim and I, he is so entertaining and you will learn so much. And plus he's so damn funny. You will have such an amazing time. Even if you're just vaguely interested in palmistry and tarot, you will have an amazing time and you will learn so much. Everyone that comes to this class raves about how great it is. And you know what it is? Jim does all the talking and I'm like Ed McMahon and he's like Johnny Carson. I just go, yeah, that's great. And I laugh at his jokes. That's what I do.
Jim does all the talking? Nah.
Well, it's like, I say like 10% of what the tarot meanings are. And I talk about the tarot cards and he talks about the palmistry, which is what everyone wants to know.
I actually took this course, and this is serious talk, and it was amazing. I actually did it when they came here to New York, and it was one of the best classes. Like Jim is so, well, you're super knowledgeable, obviously, but Jim as a palmist, right? He's so knowledgeable, so well-spoken. So really, a really great class. If you want to invest in learning something different that will add to your tarot readings, like, you have to take this class.
If you're just at all interested in palmistry or tarot, you will have an amazing, amazing experience. And Jim is totally hilarious and totally entertaining and so delightful. It's just, you know, it's like we were talking earlier about good teachers and not so good teachers. He's a great teacher. So he gets my stamp of approval.
As an Aries, of course he is a great teacher. He couldn't, if he weren't, he couldn't live with himself. So, you know.
All right, you guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week when we have Jim, AKA Divine James Devine. See, I can't remember his name now. From Divine Hand Palmistry. We'll be talking about palmistry next week. I hope you join me, and I hope you sign up for the workshop on the 28th, which is the Palmistry Tarot Mashup, and on the September 6th. You can find them all by going to my website, parlorofwonders.com, clicking on Learn, and going to Magic Workshops, and you'll find all about the workshops that are coming up. Thank you again, Chris. I love you so much.
Love you so much. Thank you.
I'll see you on Tuesday. We have a weekly conversation every Tuesday, so I'll see you on Tuesday. And I'll see you guys next Sunday. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. We'll see you next Sunday. I look forward to it, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.